Welcome to Tech Primers. How does it feel when someone talks about a technology and you haven't heard about that word at all? So, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on identifying these buzzwords and then how to learn them and how to keep yourself up to date with the technology world. Let's get started. So, I basically have created four different major criteria or steps in my learning process. So, if you talk to me about any technology, I know because most of the technology I have heard about it somewhere or the other, and then I would have done some preliminary investigation on what is it and how does it work with the existing platforms and stuff like that. So, I'm going to share you those concepts. So, whatever I'm sharing here is what I prefer doing myself. Okay, so that is why I wanted to share whatever I had learned or whatever process I had been using throughout my career in the past like 7.5 to 8 years. So the first key ingredient is the awareness about the technology, right? So if you hear about a technology, let's say I put a term called blockchain, right? So you go and immediately check in Google, right? So that is what we do most of the time. If we don't know about a term which somebody is talking about, we go to internet and then search about that particular term, right? Say example in YouTube itself, you would have arrived at this particular video, I don't know, maybe because I had put some fancy term and then you saw that in my channel and then that is how you started watching my videos, right? So that is how we go and search, right? So how to get that particular awareness? So I'm going to show you how I get awareness about different tools and what platforms I follow or what platforms I use to know them, right? The next obvious thing is learning about it. Okay, obviously if I talk with people in my companies or people in my previous companies or my colleagues, right, basically, so what they say is like, if I'm not working on a technology, why should I learn about it, right? So that I don't totally agree, because if you're not working on a technology, that doesn't mean that you should not learn about it. If you're interested in knowing that particular technology, just try investing some time in learning about it, and then it might be helpful for you maybe down the lane, or you might teach somebody else during the process, right? So that is how I feel. So I'm not sure how you guys feel, but that is what I feel, and that is why I created this channel. So most of the videos which I do here, I don't use it at work. So most of the technologies which I have shared with you, I don't use it at work, but I wanted to use them. So that is why I tried it and I followed the 4 steps which I'm going to show you, and then that is how I share my knowledge, what I have learned, right? So the next one would be the compare and contrast and argue methodology, where you can compare and contrast frameworks. So for example, I made some videos on Kotlin. Okay, so I was pretty much excited about what is Kotlin, and I was initially thinking, a year ago I was thinking like, what is this, just another JVM language, and I was thinking of not learning about it. But then when I got to know about some of the features which are better than Java, and there are some good things about Kotlin, that is when I identified, okay, I can now invest some time in investigating what is that technology and how does it better with Java, right? So that I got to know when I was talking with friends, and when I was going through some forums, and when I was going through some blogging platforms or tutorials. That is how I got to know that, okay, that is better, right? So same way, this particular step, you are going to compare the technology or compare and contrast or argue with people in your network about the new technology, and then you stay ahead. Okay, that is how you share your knowledge, and then you will also be getting new stuff from your network. The last one, of course, it is coding. Okay, after you did all the first two three and first, second and third step, you have to do coding, because you will not remember stuff until you code, right? After all, we are all developers, right? So what do I do to keep myself up to date, and how do I get to know that, okay, this is the term which is currently doing the rounds, right? The first thing I do is Twitter. So every morning I get up and I literally open Twitter. So I don't even open WhatsApp, so I open Twitter. So what I do with Twitter, so I follow all the people who take sessions in conferences. Most of the conferences I go, which is happening here in Bangalore, but there are some meetups which are happening. So what I do is I register to the meetup.com, and then I see whether the particular topic is in my radar, and then I go and check that out. Okay, and when people tell about their Twitter handle, I immediately note that and I follow them. Okay, so that they, whatever they talk is going to be the latest stuff. So that is how I follow all the latest people. So if I'm reading about something in a tutorial, right, most of the time these plural sites and other websites, whoever is taking these trainings, so they are going to expose their Twitter handles, because it is easy to communicate with people who Twitter. You can tweet to them and then they respond back. So most of the time I have done that. If you know about the creator of the contributor of Spring Boot, Josh Long, right? So I have personally spoken to him in one of the conferences which happened in Bangalore, and I had tweeted to him and then he had responded back. So that is why I felt Twitter is good. So you can literally like meet people who created the frameworks, who were the founders of the frameworks. You can talk to them, you can tell them, you can praise them, or you can even scold them, but yeah, don't do that. But you can have a easy bridge in Twitter. Okay, that is what I feel. I don't personally recommend Facebook at all. Okay, so the next one is using apps like Reddit and Pocket. So I use Reddit for scrapping through some important links or something which is out there. So sometimes I use Reddit to know about the latest technologies, and people compare and contrast and then argue over stuff in Reddit better than any other platform, right? So that is why I use Reddit. uh, I use Pocket because I need to store some links. So let's say I was going through some link in my mobile, right? So what I do is I share that particular link into Pocket, so that you can save links inside Pocket, and then you can access it in the internet, in the web as well. Okay, and then you can even link it with any other tool like Feedly or something. Okay, so the second thing which I get awareness from is the Reddit or Pocket. Okay, the next one would be the newsletters. Obviously you can register to any of these newsletters. I registered to ThoughtWorks Tech Radar. If you have heard about Tech Radar is a what do you call, a quarterly publishing newsletter from the ThoughtWorks company. So they have lots of recommendations about the new technologies and the old technologies, and they have different way of analyzing these technologies, and all the CFOs and CTOs in the company discuss and then come up with the technologies and their adoption rate and stuff like that. Okay, that gives you a clear idea of what are all the new technologies, or what are all the new terms which are doing the rounds there. Okay, or if you want to register to any of these, you can register as well. You get newsletters, the Android Weekly, the SitePoint, Java, and then Beldung. So you have lots of newsletters, so you get mails daily or weekly. Okay, the last and the final one will be obviously the blogs and the community channel. So there are I have just put down some three community channels, right? DZone, InfoWorld, and InfoCube. So you would have heard about DZone because anything you search about Java, you get the link to DZone, right? Most of the time. So that is what we always do. We search about something and then DZone pops up saying, okay, I already have a solution for you, you don't have to go anywhere. So you can follow DZone if you wanted to keep yourself updated of what is all happening in the latest tech industry, right? So how do you manage all these things? You can use Feedly. Okay, Feedly is an app with which you can register all the RSS feeds of different websites, and then you can have a centralized place where you can go through stuff. So I register the Reddit, the blogs and everything inside Feedly. Okay, so that I can go through just Feedly and then understand what is happening in different websites. So it pulls the RSS feed from each website and gives you the latest content. Okay, so that is the first step in the learning process, right? So to get awareness, you have to do all these stuff, because you have to know about all the new terms, right? So that is where it gets started, right? So that this is what I do in my personal work. The next one would be learning about these technologies. So what do I do to learn about these technologies? I have a Plural Site login, the Code School login. So I learn stuff from the Plural Site or the Code School website. So it's a very good tutorial for developers. So you have lots of hands-on stuff, like how I make videos, right? The most of the videos are something similar and in-depth. I don't make in-depth videos like 3 or 4 hours or 5 hours videos, because the videos inside Plural Site are all like 4 hours, 3 hours. It's like very intense. Sometimes I get bored and then sleep off. Like I used to sleep off during the video. So so that is Plural Site. The next one would be Lynda. So lynda.com is another website from LinkedIn. So something similar. Udacity is something similar, and Udemy is something similar. Okay, so these are different websites where you can go and learn stuff for free. There are lots of topics. So if you want to learn about JavaScript and UI related stuff, go to code school. They have a unique way of teaching you. So they just sing a song, and then it's like completely funny, and then you have an IDE inside the browser itself. So you will be able to write programs, and only when you complete the program you will be proceeding to the next chapter. So that is completely good, right? For example, JavaScript, if you want to learn from the basic, it's very good inside codeschool.com. They have a very in-depth basic stuff about Java. Okay. The third one in the learning process is the compare, contrast, and argue phase, where we need to now compare, contrast, and argue some new term which we heard. For example, people are asking me to make videos on reactive streams, right? I have not worked on reactive streams. I had been seeing videos about from Josh Long in YouTube, and then I have seen videos from Venkat Subramaniam. So I have all these people as my visionary, so I used to follow their videos. So I used to see videos about reactive programming. I saw what is reactive programming and made one video on Vertex, but still I'm not comfortable with reactive because I need to learn and go through all these phases, right? So what I do is, like, I ask what is reactive programming. So somebody says reactive systems, right? Now there are two terms, like, then there is something called functional reactive programming. And also now I need to compare and contrast, right? What is the reactive programming versus what is reactive systems, right? So, and also this reactive, I got to know that, okay, the reactive is present in all languages. So after going in depth and comparing about these stuff, then I realized that reactive is not something new. It has been there quite a while, and it is there in all the languages. It's not just it is coming only in JavaScript or only in Java, right? So it is there in every language. So how do we argue? So this is the most favorite place on earth for us, right? So the Stack Overflow. So most of the time we go to Stack Overflow and solve all our problems, right? Because everybody has faced a problem and the solution is out there in the Stack Overflow. Same way you can argue stuff in Stack Overflow, and people have already given some solutions, and people have compared and contrasted, and you can go through Stack Overflow for all these stuff. Okay. Finally, we have to code. Okay, it's not just, okay, whatever you do, whatever I told, right? It's not just that you go through some website and then you become a master in some technology. You have to obviously code. For in order to do that, you can create your own project, you can create your pet project. So any company I go to, I always do that. So if I want to learn a technology, I create a pet project. So for example, last year I moved to a different company, and I was working in a new technology, AngularJS. Okay, I didn't know about AngularJS, so what I did is I created a own project internally for myself. Okay, not for anybody. I just created it for myself, and I learned about Angular end to end by creating that particular project. So you need to spend obviously some extra amount of time to do that, but you can do that to grow, to make your learning process faster. Because if you rely on somebody to give work on something and then you are going to start learning something, that's not going to be the way around, right? So if you want to learn something, go ahead and do all these things right now and you will be successful. Okay, so the next one would be joining a open source project. You can join or contribute to open source project. I have not done any open source contribution, but apart from just creating these hands-on videos in this particular channel and uploading to GitHub, I have never contributed to any open source community as such. But I wanted always, but I'm not sure if I will be having enough time to contribute to an open source project like Spring or anything else, right? Or what you can do is you can find a new project at work, right? This is the most or the last thing I would recommend, because most of the time you go and ask somebody for a new project, obviously after a while it's going to get faded away. So for example, let's say I was working in the new latest technology for a year, and then I moved to a different project. I wouldn't expect the same technology to be there in the new project as well, right? So I would suggest this as a last option. Don't go through finding new projects at work just for the sake of upgrading your knowledge. Instead, create your own project and then use whatever technology you wanted to use in that particular project, and then proceed with the learning process, right? And after all, we are all coders, right? We are not programmers, or we are just coders, isn't it? So we need to code. So these are the major steps which I follow in my learning process, right from understanding a technology or getting to know a technology term or getting to know a buzzword, and then from starting from there to reaching to where I can create some code. I can create a hands-on programming experience, and I can share something with somebody. right? So that is how I learn stuff. So hope you guys found it useful. So if you have any other suggestions, drop that in the comment section below. If you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to it. Meet you again in the next video. Thank you very much.